Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the live. Hello. I guess I'm the only one here right now. Welcome, Greg. Well, that's interesting. Hello. Guess this is not a... Oh, well, hello, Jerry. Nice to see your puppy. Hi. How are you today? Hey, Joanne. You're driving. Okay. Just be safe. I'm glad to hear you're good. Good morning, Joanne. What time is it there? And can you guys hear the music? See you, Kimmy. Oh, hello, Linda. Nice to see you. You can hear the music. Okay. Just gone 9 a.m. Wow, all right. I'm playing a repeating song off of a website. Hi, Nancy. How's Rochester? Is it hot and muggy? Hot and humid? Because we're hot here too, but I don't think there's very much humidity. No, the dew point's really low. I think it's hot in a lot of places. Linda, I haven't, no, Linda, no. You must have meant a different Friday. Today was incredibly frustrating. And I ended up crying for a good hour. And I'm still sad. As you might be able to hear in my voice. It's been a very frustrating day. I know I will too, but it's just it's hard right now. But I show up every day. I put a couple hours in, I put applications in. Hello, Kimmy. Good to see you, my friend. You're in bed sick with the flu. Oh, trying to get your temperature down. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, Kimmy, hope you feel better. I haven't even done anything. You've already sent a donation. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. I promise I won't cry the whole live. It's Joanne. Thanks. I know I am. It's just hard to feel right now. I can't even use my food stamps because they belong to New York State. I was told by New York State that if I use them in Utah, they'll get shut up. So I applied today for Utah food stamps, but that won't. I won't have word on that until I do some other steps. And I'm not only sad, but I'm like pissed off about a lot of things. Thanks, Nancy. On the plus side, I feel really comfortable with my friends here in Utah. It's a very comfortable living space. I just feeling the weight of being in between places, I guess. Yeah, thanks, Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda. Yeah, I am really pissed off. I'm pissed off about the Apple thing with Insight Timer. You guys don't realize the impact. Donations have really been down since that whole fiasco earlier this year. Like I was making several hundred a month in December and January, and even a little bit in February. Last month, I got $57 from Insight Timer. I mean, May. Fortunately, June, you guys were very generous with donations, and I was much more, I think I was feeling more in my power and more confident, which is amazing. I mean, for any of you who've been with me since December, there's been a lot of I've had a lot of shifts, really. I mean, last month, all the readings, every single live I did, I don't know, I'm feeling really connected to my gift right now. And then to even add in channeled messages, which actually, to be honest, I mean, I love doing it all, but I've been loving those even more. Oh, I added a new one. They haven't approved it yet, but we were talking a week ago about doing a weekly channeled message to start our week, and I added that for Sunday night or front Sunday afternoon, but IT hasn't approved it yet. So 3 p.m. Mountain on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Thanks, Joanne. I appreciate it. It's funny because I'm not even crying over all the changes, really. I don't, I don't miss Rochester. I don't miss where I was living in Marty's house. I don't miss Marty either. I don't feel any grief. I just feel frustration and some stress. And probably it was good to have a cry over the stress. I'm sure you guys can relate. At least I hope you can relate. Sometimes while I'm job searching, in the back of my mind, I just am like, God, I wish my business was in a place where it could fully support me. And I know it will be someday. I don't know how I'm gonna accomplish that through Insight Timer. Quite honestly, I don't, especially with these upcoming changes. Now that we're not getting paid for engagement, replying to reviews or course questions, and then that's not even going to affect me as much as it's going to affect people like Susan Sage and others who have a lot of courses and have done a lot of engagement with folks. But this new stuff, this new retreat stuff, they can't even support online things. And I'm not in a position financially or physically to even be hosting live retreats. But I found out by listening to the Christopher Plowman interview that Tom Evans did, which was a great interview, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it, look up Insight Timer's YouTube channel and check out the interview. It was a nice long interview. he basically explained that, and now I understand why they don't want us promoting anything outside of the app. Because if we apparently the way Apple sees things is if we promote anything online or anything digital through this app, they can take 30%. Isn't that ridiculous? So like if I do an online retreat and promote it on here, they could say, oh, I promoted it through the Apple platform, and therefore they'd want 30% of an online, even if I just did an online Zoom retreat or something. Isn't that nuts? Yeah, I'm glad I can cry. Yeah, I bet, Joanne. We all have something that we're going through, don't we? Daylight robbery. I haven't heard that phrase, but yeah, I get the meaning of it. Absolutely. And I'm not one to complain, but I don't feel like I'm complaining. I think I'm just sharing because, a lot of my process these last few months has been, I want to grow the business. That's a pure, honest, authentic intention. I want to grow the business. I want to reach. I'm feeling so confident with my gift right now that, like, I know what it's worth. I know the value. You guys have helped me learn that. At first, I needed you guys to help me learn that. Now I actually feel it viscerally. Like I understand it. There's so much more. There's so much more I don't even understand. Like this group, this council or circle of seven that have come in and what they're doing to me, not doing to me. I don't want to make it sound like they're doing something nasty, but what like the things that they do for me during meditation and even in helping you guys and channeling for you guys, like I feel like I'm only scratching the surface. And so there's so much more to come. And I'm like so excited to grow it. And yet then on the flip side of that excitement, I'm like, I don't know how. And that's how I feel with the job search. Like I know I've already manifested it. It's already existing energetically. But when I show up to do the job search every day, I don't even know what I'm looking for. It's so crazy. Where's the love? Rhonda says. What do you? Oh, you use it lots, sir. Maybe it's a Kiwi phrase. I don't know. Makes me wonder whether it's worth the effort for me to become a teacher here now. You know, it's a good question, Joanne, and I don't have an answer for you. I feel really excited about like holistically really excited about where the app is trying to head, but I have a big question mark as to how far I personally can take it. I mean, on the plus side, it's a ready-made market. I mean, 26 million users worldwide who are already seekers and sensitives. Like, it's like a ready-made market. But then there's the restrictions, and then there's the changes, and we don't even know how quickly the changes will come in. Hello, Liz. Whatever you choose to do, Joanne, I will support you. Hello, Liz. Nice to see you from Toronto. How is it there? Thank you, Liz. You always say such sweetest things. Linda, it seems like they want to profit from a tool intended to help people. Once things become financially lucrative, they sit up and take notice and take what belongs to teachers. Well, it's not, I don't think Insight Timer has any malicious intent. They want to be profitable so that they can share it with teachers. And if you listen to Christopher Plowman, he is authentic, he is being genuine. I believe he has integrity, and I believe in his mission. I just don't know personally whether that will include me for what I want to do. TGIF. Yes, indeed. So, all right. All my favorite people, well, not all my favorite people, but all of you are part of my favorite people. Did you know that? You collectively are part of my collective favorite people on the planet. and we haven't even met. And you know what's fascinating? I've known my buddy that I'm staying with here for 10 years, and we'd never met until I came here. So, hi, Shelly. How are you, dear? Nice to see you. I'm just happy you're all here. So, this was supposed to be Ask Greg Anything, uh, instead of let Greg cry and share about how he's feeling, which we always do anyways. Yeah, I agree, Joanne. Everybody's really special. I mean, I'm just, when I do my appreciation game at night, I'm just it's not every night, but very frequently throughout the week. All of you here, all of the people who attend my lives, they're on the list. It's just easy. It's easy to add all of you to the appreciation list. And I'm hopeful for an expansion of all this. I mean, this is wonderful, and I want to add new lives, but there's other stuff I want to do. And I still think back to that time that the dozen of us did on Zoom and how wonderful that was. And I know a number of us were nervous and anxious about it, and it ended up being such a special, intimate, couple days of just amazing, heart-opening, expansive stuff. I still remember, Joanne, remember the guided visualization we did through the earth element, and how when I talked about a chair coming up, you pictured embroidered pillows and everything. I just loved that. I still remember that. Rhonda says that was really cool and helpful for you and us. Yeah. Yeah. And now look at it. Now I'm back at doing readings, and I don't even care whether I get as many people in as I want. Right. And now tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but on Sunday, hopefully, as long as IT approves it soon, I'm doing, again, a group reading, but a group reading for all of us for the week. So you tell lots of people about that. That's so cool. Yeah. That was a really powerful, powerful time. Yeah. And then the other one, what was I forget, was who was it? That one night we did the hand down and hand up thing. I can't remember who, but somebody said that like really energetically blew them wide open. Was that, which one of those was it? Was that you, Joanne, or Kimmy? Maybe it was Kimmy. I think it was you, Kimmy. I don't remember. Anyways, welcome to the live for anyone who's never been to one of my lives. Hi, I'm Greg Phillips. I am an energy healer and a channel and a spiritual guide for seekers and sensitives on the path to the heart. Today's a very special live. I polled the attendees a couple weeks ago and asked if they wanted to have a once a month Ask Greg Anything Q&A. So that's what tonight is. Yes, I think it was Kimmy. Yeah. So you guys can ask me anything. This is not a readings or a guidance thing, although some guidance will probably seep through because that's my nature. It's what I do. But you can ask me anything you want. Absolutely anything. It can be as silly or as serious as you want. What do you want to know? You can ask about me. You can ask about a topic and you can ask about my perspective on a topic. Please don't ask anything political. Do not like to bring politics into things. Shelly, are you back home? Or are you still in the States? You guys didn't come with any questions, did you? Rhonda, how did you learn that you could read the chakra energy? Oh, that's a fun story, Rhonda. Thanks for asking. So, so I used to live in LA, So that's where I was living in, let's see, I moved there in this late summer of 2005. And I stayed there until going back to Rochester in early 2012. So what's that? 6.5 years roughly. While I was there, both in San Francisco and in Los Angeles, I was very active in an ecstatic dance community called it's global actually, called the Five Rhythms of Gabrielle Roth. And I had been involved in that for about 10 years at that point and learned how to be a teacher and everything. And then I moved down to LA, and a couple years into LA, after after kind of getting comfortable and established with the dance community there, I started to be able to feel when people were distressed on the dance floor. So there was a one friend of mine who, at the time, I had a crush on, but cared about just in general, anyways. But she suddenly stopped moving on the dance floor, and I just knew intuitively. I don't know how, but I just knew intuitively um, that she was under some sort of discomfort or distress. I didn't know if it was physical, mental, or emotional. And for some reason, I was called to dance my way over to her and lay my hands on her chakras. And I didn't know at the time if or what I was doing. I just was holding a space for her of love, really. And I realized later that I wasn't adding or taking any energy away. I realized years later that I was actually channeling love through me to her. But as I laid my hands on her chakras, and I think I started on the either on the belly or on the heart, I couldn't remember. I could feel where the distress was in her. And so it was like the energy called me to move my hands to those different chakras, and I really felt like she could use some grounding. And so I lowered my hands to her belly, and I stayed there for a short bit. And then I like something called and was like, oh, her mind is really, really busy. So bring some love up there. And I went up to the third eye and her crown. And then I just suddenly knew it was time for me to stop. And I slowly removed my hands and just sort of danced away. At the end of class, she came up to me and she said, "What did you do? That was amazing." And I said, "I just loved up your chakras. I didn't really do anything." And she said, "I that felt so calm, and I really felt the love. And it felt so relaxing and grounding." I was like, "Well, I sensed that you needed some grounding while I was loving up your chakras." And she's like, "That's incredible." And she said, "How long were you standing there?" And I said, "I don't know, a minute or two, maybe," because it really wasn't that long, maybe three. And she said it felt like forever. And so I called it chakra touch. And I found over time while I was in dance classes that would occasionally happen. About a year later, I was dating a gal that had a lot of back issues, and she would have to lay down during class. And because I loved her and cared about her and sensed that things were off, I would go over and I would basically lay my hands on her chakras like I did with my friend previously. And I would do it after class as well for folks that just wanted some support or whatever. Fast forward to um, the end of 2022, and I was feeling really, really lost. And I could feel the energy like pumping in the chakras in my palms, and I knew that there was something to it, but it scared the bejeebers out of me. And um I was at the time seeing a shamanic spiritual counselor, and we were about 3 or 4 sessions in, and I said, I have this gift, and I've been feeling like it's calling to me more to use it, and I don't know what to do with it. And he asked me what it was about, and I explained. I told him the story, and he said, "Greg, you're a spiritual healer." And I was like, "No, shut up! Don't say that. I don't want that's none of that crap." I didn't want the healer label because I felt there was a lot of stigma and taboos and expectations associated with it. But he encouraged me to It's a long story, Rhonda. I hope you're enjoying it, but it is a long story. He encouraged me to do some practice sessions with family and friends, and he suggested that I rent a space like at a yoga studio or a massage place or whatever. And I felt into that, and I liked his idea, but I didn't like it 100% because I felt like if I had to do this physically with people, that I would be locked into a specific area, and I could feel in my soul that I was meant to reach more than just people within the Rochester area. And so I thought about it for a while, and then I got scared about it. And the next month after, I remembered how I'd wanted to be for years. I've always wanted to be what I call an inspirational speaker. I've envisioned myself speaking in front of people. Of course, here we are, right? And then, hello, Gary, welcome. We're doing story time today, right now. Rhonda's question: how did I learn that I could read the chakra energy? So, anyways, fast forward to March 2023. It took me 6 months of processing through my fear and resistance to finally begin to offer my family and some close friends some readings. And my cousin in Seattle was the first one. And I had no clue whether my gift would work remotely. I didn't know what would happen. I'd only done it physically with people. And she had this amazing breakthrough, and I was able to coach her around a thought pattern that had always been kind of stubborn and like she'd always had a negative viewpoint on it. And we were able to reframe it as a superpower for her. And it really blew her mind. Um, Fascinatingly, she's never come back. She said she'd come back again for a reading, but she never has. I have no idea what's going on with that. But that's when I suddenly realized that's where I learned that I could read and see the energy. That was the very first time that I actually saw, like visually saw the energy after tapping into her chakras. And then it just unfolded from there. It continued to happen for the next few months as I was doing some practice stuff. And then I get scared again. And then came on Insight Timer in November/December of 2023. And you guys were all there, and you know the rest. So that was that. Rhonda, good question. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I love telling that story. I think what's important about that story is, a lot of times in life oh boy, okay, I hear you. All my guides just knocked on my head as I'm about to say what I'm about to say. And you're about to, you're, oh, okay. Fuck. Sorry to swear, but that's how spiritual things work. I was telling the story. I hope I don't get in trouble for swearing. But I was telling the story because I think that it was important. How do I say this? When we're working with gifts and talents and skills and desires and things like that, there's a process quite often. It's easy to look in the moment and not see evidence of the process unfolding. Hello, Greg. And then get upset or get emotional or get whatever, angry or whatever. And so that story it's important to me that I remember that story because even though it took 15 years for all of it to unfold, wow, 15 years. Yeah, it's the story is about the process and how it unfolds. So, yeah, thanks for asking that. All righty, next question was from Joanne. Have I always lived in the States? No, actually, I have not. There was a time in 2003 when I moved to Buenos Aires in Argentina, learned Spanish, fell in love, got scared, because I was only there for 3 months, and then went to Italy and lived in Italy for 3 months. So I spent 3 months in Argentina living there, and then I lived in Italy for 3 months. Also fell in love in Italy with a gal from Basel, Switzerland, who I had already met 2 years prior, and she had been in a relationship and unavailable, but at that time in 2003, she wasn't. She actually asked me if I had anybody special waiting for me at home. It was actually a sweet comment. She, as a projector, I didn't realize it then, but looking back as a projector, she was inviting me, which actually was really cool. So that's where I've lived. Otherwise, the rest of the time's been in the U.S. I grew up here in Rochester, or not here. Duh, I'm not in Rochester. I was born in Albany, New York. Grew up in Rochester. Moved to Philly. Moved to New York. Moved to Chicago. Moved back to New York. Moved back to Chicago. Moved to San Francisco, moved to Los Angeles, and then went back to Rochester. Now I'm in Utah. Oh yeah, and Argentina and Italy were along the way while I was in San Francisco. So Shelly, seriously, why are you so awesome, Greg? Aw, thanks, Shelly. I appreciate that. As you know, I lost one of my best pals a couple weeks ago, and your message meant the world to me. You're welcome. Jenny, I have 20 plus years experience running career programs. Is there anything I can offer you to help their job search? Jenny, please email me. You can find my email on the link in my about section. I humbly accept your offer. I don't know if you'll be able to help, but but I accept your offer of help. So please email me. You can also direct message me. But honestly, I'm just going to say it, guys. I hate the message system in Insight Timer. It sucks. They need to redesign it. It doesn't even throw a badge up on my app. I can't see if I have messages unless I go into the app. And I'm sorry, but I call BS on that. Like, Insight Timer, if you're even listening to this, design it better. Like, help us communicate with each other if you care so much about community. Anyways, there's my short rant about bad design. Yes, Jenny, that like, wow. Yeah, please do email me, my friend. That would be wonderful. And Shelly, I can't answer your question. I don't know why I'm so awesome, but I appreciate you saying that. It's it's very sweet. I am recently accepting that I am awesome. Which is not that has also been a long and difficult road. So, what else you guys want to know? I said hi to Gary. Thank you, Rhonda. I love Italy too, Joanne. When I move to Tenerife, I am really looking forward to going to Italy more and Greece, two of my favorite Mediterranean countries, as well as maybe even check out Africa. It'd be super, super cool. Oh, thanks, Shelly. Hey, Megan, good to have you back. Welcome. Oh, well, we're doing a special live today. Sorry, I'm getting all sweaty. It's ask me anything. We've already had two or three really good questions. I've cried a bunch because I'm frustrated and sad today. Jenny, I'm really touched by your offer. Yeah, that's really, yeah, I really appreciate it. Um, oh yeah, I could come to Scotland. That's true. I've never been to Scotland. I've been to UK. I've been to London, and I've been to almost to the South Shores, whatever that, I forget the name of it. I had a lot of trouble in London, whereas in many other cities in Europe, I just took to right away. In Paris, I felt right at home right away. In London, it took me the whole week to enjoy myself. It was crazy. Africa, yeah. What's a hole? London? Uh, food. Oh my God. I The first few days of food in London for me were so difficult. At the time, I was on a much more restrictive way of eating. So it was a bit challenging. But I ended up going to a great sushi restaurant, love that. I ended up going to an Indian restaurant that was a block down from my hotel and eating there every single night because I knew that I could get food that worked for me. That was pretty funny. Yeah, Paris was amazing. I think what blew me away because I went from London to Paris. I took the train underneath the channel, which was actually really cool. It's a long time ago. This was like in 2001. Can't believe it's 20 more than 20 years ago. But when I got to Paris, I was amazed because the Seine and the bridges over it was so spacious. There were no buildings crowding up against it. Like in London, very much like in New York, it just was like buildings right up against the river. And even though I took like this river cruise, I felt like all jammed in. It was a really uncomfortable feeling there. But in Paris, it was like so freeing to walk over the Pont. I don't even remember what bridge it was, but bridge is Pont in French, Pont. And it was like I could see all the way down the river and all around. The biggest building on the River Seine was the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and that was amazing to me. Megan, question. When you're feeling tired and drained, how do you like to work with your energy? That is a really good question. So I'm trying to, how do I answer that? Late night fireworks in Chicago have me wiped. Yeah. Um, I think I think I've been fortunate in that the last 12 years, a lot of my growth process was learning how to be. There was a lot of just being with my emotions, being with my heart, being with my energy, watching my energy flow. I guess I've never really thought about this. I'm appreciating this question, Megan, a lot. Because sometimes I look back at the 12 years and I'm judgmental of it and I think of it as wasteful sometimes, but it wasn't because it was such a deep internal process for me. So I got really, really deeply connected with how my energy flows. And so if I need to rest, I rest. I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, I was doing job search in the morning, and then I had lunch about noon, and then I did some more. And at 1:30, I just hit this complete wall where I felt like I needed to lay down. It was just I'm like my mind wasn't working well. All my energy was completely gone. And I don't know, I mean, who knows what it was from necessarily. And I went and I laid down and I napped for a good 30 minutes, maybe even an hour. And when I got up, I felt better. Another thing that I do is I found out along the way over the last 12 years that, and I've actually known this most of my life, but I really found out in early 2023 that play is absolutely essential for me. So I love games. I love to play. I'll just sit and play. I need to do things that bring me back to me, that center me and ground me. And that can be watching a movie or a show. It could be playing a video game or playing a silly little game on my iPod. And also one of the things that I've recently discovered is my energy is a lot better when I do my morning walk. When I don't do my morning walk, my energy feels less grounded, less fluid. And it feels a little bit more volatile, like it's susceptible to getting knocked off a little bit. Not hugely, but yeah, the morning walk has been also really essential for me. So those are some of the things that I do. And I guess the real thing is like most of the time, Megan, honestly, when I'm feeling drained or tired, it's emotional. And so at some point I just let myself cry. It's like I did today. It just it just helps. It's a good release. I feel a lot of relief after I have some good tears. And I bawled my eyes out this morning. It was pretty awesome. Late night fireworks. I'm sorry to hear that, although I do love Chicago. Absolutely muchly. It's one of my favorite cities. Ah, good question, Megan. Does that answer your question, my dear? Yeah. And this was even before like I learned about the flow of my energy just watching it and feeling it. And I mean, it can be challenging mentally because when I need to go lay down and take a nap, I need to do that. But the mind can be like, no, you need to keep at it. And so finding like that level of loving allowance, to be able to do that, which is one of the reasons I want a really flexible remote job so that I can take care of myself and my energy because I don't function well in an office environment. And I am very different now, 15 years since I've had a corporate environment that I've had to be in. And I have different values and I care about my life in a new and different ways. So thanks for that question. It's really lovely. Let's see what else we got. Linda is curious. Are you a cat person, a dog person, neither, or both? Linda, that's a fun question. How do I answer that? This question for me is very similar to, are you a nature lover? And I have actually said no. And somebody said, how can you not be a nature lover? You're so heart-centered. So how do I fully answer this question? So am I a cat person, dog person, neither or both? Yes and no. Uh, I'm also not a kid person, but here's the thing. Um, I love them. I really truly love them. I recognize the energy of children really readily. I recognize the energy of kids. I love the energy of nature, but I'm not like I don't want to own or be responsible for the beasts. It's not or for kids. It's not something that's in my nature. And I've never been able to answer why. And kids and cats and dogs, they love me. They'll come up to me, they want to interact with me, they always want to say hi when I'm out on a walk. They always want to say hi, and I can feel their energy. I can feel how happy they are to see me. And I'm truly happy to see them. But I do have allergies, so I never ever want to touch them. And it's really interesting because I know that I love them, but I don't want to be responsible for them and I don't want to be near them. So it's a weird thing. And in terms of nature, I love nature. There's certain parts of environment of nature and stuff that I love more than others. Like I'd rather be at the ocean and the beach, or I'd rather be up in a mountain than I would in a jungle or a desert or something like that. I mean, desert's not so bad, but I'm not an outdoorsy person. I hate camping. I despise camping. Um, I hate bugs. I don't like I don't like being in uncomfortable nature. And it's just I'm weird that way. So, but it's like, do I love them? Yeah, but I don't. I don't know how else to answer that question. They do. I mean, and quite honestly, my understanding of pets and beasts is that they have a much purer connection to source than we do. They don't have the ego and the personality traits and the fears and the worries. And so, like, they'll often take on our maladies or our stresses or our sicknesses and they'll transmute them for us because even as they're sleeping, they're more connected to source than we are. And therefore, they're just pure bodies of love. And I recognize that when I see them, but I don't want to pet them. I don't want I don't want their fluff all over me either. Oh, okay. That was a fun question, Linda. Why did you ask that, Linda? I'm very curious back. What are you guys saying? Oh, Liz and Linda have a Scotland connection. Oh no, Shelley has a Scotland connection with Liz. Very cool. Kimmy's got a question. Have you always been aware of your guides? No, I have not. Um, you're welcome, Linda. But Linda, I do want to know why you were curious about that. I'm curious about your curiosity. Kimmy, no, I have not actually. I grew up Catholic, believe it or not. I was a pretty, what's the right word? Committed Catholic, I guess. I would go to church every Sunday. I did extracurricular stuff. I was involved in youth group programs and a youth singing group as well. Um, and I eventually deliberately left the Catholic Church when I was 23 or 4, I think 24, mid 20s, early mid 20s, I can't remember, 24 or 5, when I read an article that stated that the Vatican said that any questioning was grounds for excommunication or whatever they call it. And I thought, that's BS because I'm learning what I believe in by having questions about it and trying to find those answers. I mean, at the time, I knew I was a seeker. And so the whole basis of seeking is to have a question, right? And to seek an answer. You have to you have to have a question in order to seek the answer. You don't even have to have a question, but to seek answers, right? And so I was like, that's BS. I call baloney and cheese on that. And so I left the church. And it wasn't until I was in LA and was reading a book from Abraham Hicks called Ask and It Is Given, one of their first ones. It sounds like a religious book, but it's not. And it's all about the law of attraction. And it was the very first time that I'd ever read any written channeled material. And it was also the very first time that I'd ever read anything where I couldn't feel any human ego in it. I felt absolutely no human ego. And even reading something that felt emotionally or mentally challenging, I could feel the amount of love and truth in what I was reading. And it blew my mind. And after I read that book, one of my dear friends in LA found out that I liked Abraham Hicks and that I'd been attending some of their workshops in LA because I went to LA regularly. And she said, "Oh, I know a gal who channels this guy named Dr. Peebles, and she's here in LA. Do you want to go see her with me?" And I've been seeing her, and I said, "Yeah, sure, that sounds awesome." And I fell in love with Dr. Peebles. And so he was my very first spirit guide. He was the very first one I ever met. It was through my friend who channels him. There's a number of people who channel Dr. Peebles around the world. Um, and he felt just like Abraham. He was loving and wise and silly, just like me, and very supportive and um, very understanding and just incredibly wise. And I felt the truth in everything he said. And he was the one who explained to me the spiritual guidance system of how we have this concentric circle, this network of concentric circles of guides. And he explained how the ones in the closest, the inner circle, are the ones that work day in and day out with us. And how, as the circles went out, they were less frequent, but they were able to move from circle to circle. So if there was a particular theme or topic that we were working on, sometimes they'd come forward from way out. And even though the way out isn't really that far for them, it's all energy, right? And so he actually told me about a couple of my guides. One is Archangel Michael, who actually I've not interacted with in a long time, so I don't know where he is right now with my stuff or with my group. And then the other, I was asking about some family matters, and my great grandmother, Maria from Italy, was one of my guides as well, which was quite fascinating. And then I've just sort of accepted that as time went on, um, but sort of was reintroduced to it last fall when I had a session with Susan Sage, and it was kind of like a hypnotherapy slash guided visualization, sort of channeling all mixed together thing. And I ended up in a space in my heart where all my guides were present. And that's when I realized that, you know, I was, there was more to my gift than just like Rhonda's question, just the ability to read energy and chakras. That's what I thought all it was. And now I know it was a lot more. So long story to that question too, Kimmy. Does that answer it for you? So you guys are saying, Shelly says, I've always feel drained around certain people. Should I just take the hint and do the right thing and not be around them? That's a good question, Shelly. Do you want me to answer that? Yeah, the personal truth resonates. You are receptive and at home. Yep, yep. Oh, back on the guides question. So Rhonda says, are a person's guides working with them, quote unquote, even when the person is not aware of their guides? I believe so. Yeah. I mean, how do I explain this? It's all one energy. So and this is the interesting thing. So it's all just the collective field of love, right? But it's not like it, I don't know exactly how to explain it, Rhonda. They're always present, but there's, for me, I guess that's the best way I can talk about it. They're always present, but it's not like they're working necessarily. It's like they're always available and they are doing things for us, I believe, because they're part of source. They're part of the all that is. They're part of that one collective energy. I think it's when we reach out to them, when we make a connection with them, when we ask for their assistance, that that work with really begins. So they're always present and they're always supporting, they're always guiding, they're always, or they're part of Source's orchestration of what's highest and best for us. So they're working in that regard. But when we actually begin to form a relationship with them, I think that's when the working kind of kicks into another level. And it's, for me lately, I've been feeling it, sensing it, called to it as more of a partnership, right? As opposed to a passive receptivity, right? More as a let's work together. Although, because of my Catholic and Christian upbringing, I still sort of fall back on asking for miracles and asking for them, to do. But what I'm really being called to these days is to partner with them, to work in unison with them, and to take the responsibility for my part. So I don't know if that fully answers what you were asking. I hope it does. Um, Shelly, let's see. I always feel drained around certain people. Should I just take the hint and do the right thing and not be around them? What do you think? It's really a personal choice. Um, I mean, the choices in that situation, Shelly, come down to how you want to be, how you want to take care of yourself. If you're always feeling drained around certain people, are you actually, is that for your highest and best benefit? Is that healthy for you? Is that good for you? Or is it perhaps a calling to find a different way of aligning with that, so that that experience isn't draining? Because it is possible, even with people who you feel like they drain from you, it is possible to align differently with that, so that you don't end up having that same experience. And sometimes that draining can be because of emotional entanglements, which are, those could be quite challenging. Oh boy, you guys are typing, typing, typing. Liz, to those who created the 4th of July, or may still be your Canadian neighbors, with you enjoyed it. And oh, thank you, Liz. Yeah, I did have a great 4th of July. Personally, Linda, I find people's preferences with pets telling. It says something about personality. Remember, I worked with wildlife rehab. It's just interesting. Oh, well, I'm glad you asked then. Bella Maria. Yes, indeed. Linda, Gary, yes, I'm dragging like crazy today. Oh, okay. Just writing out bills right now and exhausting. Yes. Shelly, does that help, dear? It could be for another time. I'm not really taking reading/guidance questions, but that was a good question. I like that. And maybe that was helpful for somebody else. You're welcome. Oh, Liz, yes, your Canadian neighbors wish. Yeah, autocorrect, the bane of our existence, right? Celebrated. I don't know who created it, but yeah, those who celebrated it. Please, no more explosives. And known for a Megan, she's got exhausted from the overnight explosives. No problem. Yeah, being in situations or with people that drain us, I really think in let's not say it that way. My experience is that I've had to come to a point at which I needed to make a decision of what was best for me. It's been true in friendships. It's been true in living situations. It's been true in work situations and career stuff. It's been true in dating relationships. It's been true in social circles. I feel like it happened enough to me that eventually I just made the decision that I was worth it, that I was worth not being drained, or should I say, I was worth retaining my energy and instead seeking out situations that felt empowering and supportive and loving, as opposed to draining, demoralizing, and discouraging. So that's the little bit that I'll add to that. Hopefully that helps, Shelley. But bear in mind that you always have the power of choice over that, my friend, because it's your energy, it's your life, it's your well-being. I guess what I'm saying is, when you reach a point where you care more about your well-being than what anybody else thinks, then you are empowering yourself to make decisions in that regard. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. Rhonda, baby, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Is that a song again? Yeah, I love that, Rhonda. It's a song. What else you guys want to know? Are you enjoying this? I'm having fun so far. It's a little different than what we normally do. I don't know that I'd want to do it all the time, but Kimmy, do you think we are where we are meant to be? Like the universe is always on autocorrect to help us to stay on our true path, if that makes sense. It does make sense. I would use a different word than autocorrect. There's some words that Susan has used that I really like, and unfortunately, um, I'm trying to remember them. Self-correcting and self-regulating, I think. I think those are the words that she uses, and it is very. It's I mean it's basically the same thing as autocorrect, but it's interesting because I love this question, Kimmy. It's very, very deep. Um, and I'd have to say self-regulating is a thing. Yeah. Well, she talks about how the universe is self-regulating, how life is self-regulating. Oh, and self-organizing. I think that's the other thing she talks about. And I love those concepts, and I don't 100% fully understand them. But when you ask, do I think that we are where we're meant to be? Absolutely. It's not easy to swallow that pill for me sometimes, it's particularly when I'm not living in the moment. But I do believe that we are where we need to be. And akin to that, I believe that when it's our time to go, it's our time to go. When we've served our purpose on the planet, when we've experienced all the contrasts that we wanted to, and we've lived out as much of our contracts that we agreed to, then we just go. And that's why I feel like whenever somebody dies or croaks, as Abraham likes to say, it's 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 right. It's right timing. It's so I don't subscribe to even like when youngins die really early. Yeah, I get it. I get how it feels tragic, but that that they died. That I mean, that's the end of the physical life and the continuation of the spirit, and that's when they died. And so it must have been when they were supposed to die. So there isn't any like, oh, they died so young. It was such a loss of life. Well, no, that was the purpose. And who knows what the real purpose is? Like sometimes folks have lost parents have lost young kids or babies in utero and whatnot, and I know that's really really upsetting, but then they go on and they go on and realize that experience actually they learn something about themselves, or that child's very brief presence in them or in their lives, the very simple thing the child was doing was being a teacher, being fulfilling a contract to teach the parents something. And we don't know what that is because it's a very unique personal experience. But I also shy away from thinking about things are destined. But I do absolutely believe that we are where we're meant to be. And I know that for myself when I look back and I look at how the puzzle pieces fit together and how something unfolds. And one of the best examples I ever had was when I was in New York, And I finally got the job that I'd really, really wanted. And it took a couple of months. And it was a newish career for me. And I was a technology programmer doing visual design type stuff. And it had taken about a year to get the kind of job that I really wanted. But I could look back through my resume and I could see how the very first job I got as a programmer actually enabled me to get the second job that I got as a programmer. And then my self-study along the way enabled me to use both of those experiences, which were crappy experiences, quite honestly. I was not happy with them, very, very, very happy, and get the third job, which I was really happy about. And so when I look at how those puzzle pieces fit together and how those two and three things, or maybe more, led up to the one thing, then I know I was in the right place. I wasn't happy with it, which of course is, at the time, I didn't realize that I had a lot of choice in the matter of whether I wanted to be happy or not. But I see how the puzzle pieces all fit together. And what else did you say, Kimmy? Like the universe is always on autocorrect. Yeah, yeah, in that regard. I hope that answered your question, Kimmy. What do you think about that? I'm curious to know what you're thinking and feeling about that. Oh, hello from Morocco. How do I say your name? Umay Umayma? Umayma? Well, that's a pretty name. I like it. Umayma. From Morocco. Very cool. I'm going to be near Morocco eventually when I move to the Canaries. Nancy. Yep, I agree, Greg. Okay. I'm not sure what you're agreeing to, Nancy, but thanks for agreeing. I'm saying a lot of things and I'm not remembering what I'm saying. Kimmy, question. That does that any negatives can be positive with acceptance of what is? Interesting. Nice deep questions, Kimmy. Well, I think that negative positive, I think that negative positive is a pure mental framework. It's a pure mental perspective. And if anything, on the deepest level, it could actually be a thought judgment pattern. Because what's the negative and what's the positive, right? Like if we were to step out of a situation free of human mind and ego, and we were to truly look at it, in fact, we don't even have to step out of a situation. We can just look from one person's perspective and then another's and then another's, and we can see that some folks might see that as negative and some might see it as positive. So if one person perceives it as negative and another perceives it as positive, then is it either one? This is a very deep philosophical question. The reality is that, well, my take, the reality is that it just is, as what you were alluding to. And so I think that the path to freedom for us as seekers is to look at what is and to be present with what is without judgment. Obviously, really freaking hard on certain times of of life and certain days, right? Like today looking at things as what is, I I I couldn't do it very well. So for me, a lot of the day was negative. But then now we're having this wonderful live, and I get to be with many of my favorite people on the planet, or in the app, so to speak, right? And that's positive. So I think if we take even a step further back from that, if we think about how Abraham and many other guides look at it, the negative and the positive, we can just look at that as the emotional response to what is. And that is simply our guidance system, our indicator of whether we're viewing it from the eyes of love, whether we're viewing it the way Source views it. So if we are feeling or thinking, and thus they're feeling negative about something that is, that's the indication that we're not seeing it right. So if you look at my morning and how I was crying, yes, I needed to cry. I needed a release. I was sad. I was frustrated. But why? Why is because I was looking at the job search and I was thinking that I was confused. I was thinking that I had no clue what I was doing. I was thinking that my efforts were fruitless and useless. And of course, that would generate negative emotion. Of course, that would get frustrating if I kept practicing that thought. And apparently, because I was crying so much today, I was practicing that thought a lot the last few days. And so that negative emotion is simply evidence and indication of how my mind was being focused. So now that I've cried and shared with you guys, I know that I have the capacity to focus differently. That's a big answer. It's a long answer to your beautiful question, Kimmy. Liz, speaking of what has to go to some people, annoying autocorrect here has to go. Yes, Liz, I agree. Oh, Nancy was agreeing about when people pass. Yeah, yin yang. Well, yeah, the cool thing about yin yang, absolutely, Kimmy. The cool thing about yin yang is that it's not binary, right? Like in our minds, there's positive and there's negative. But what's yin yang, right? Yin yang is like a flow where they're coupling each other, and yet a piece of the other is held within the larger part of the quote unquote opposite. So there isn't an opposite, there's a whole, there's a unity, right? In our minds, though, they're very dualistic, they're very binary. It's either good or bad, it's either right or wrong, it's either positive or negative. The yin and the yang honors the flow between the yin and the yang, and neither one is actually positive or negative. They're just different, they're different elements or different energies of the whole. I love that. Yin yang. Yin yang is one of my favorite symbols. I used it for quite a long time. What else, my friends? I'm going to take a drink. Other questions, curiosities, considerations. Ask me anything. I see an Inga. Hi, Inga. Who else arrived since we started? By the way, Megan's a teacher. Please do follow Megan. What do you do, Megan, again? I can't remember. I have to click follow. There you go. Good to see you, Inga. Who else is here today? We have a smaller group today. I guess more people like readings, but that's all right. You're so late? Nah, perfect timing. It's nice to have everybody here. What else? Anything else, or are we wrapping up? Joanne, you have a question. I can feel your question. Oh, who is? Oh, it's okay, Inga. Ask whatever you want. If it's already been asked, I'll answer again, or I'll answer differently. Kimmy wants to know if I still dance. Sadly, rarely. Sometimes I'll do a little jig in my room or a free form here and there, but I have not danced much in the last 12 years. That was a quick and easy question. Greg dance party. Uh maybe. Inga asks, how or why did you begin to meditate? That is a great question, and nobody asked that. So this is story time with Greg again, because this is also a good story. So when I was about 17 or 18, I was reading a beautiful book. I do not do yoga or qigong, Joanne. I have done a little yoga in the past, and I wish to do some more again, but life hasn't. I haven't actually dug into it, but I'll answer Inga's question. So, Inga, when I was 17 or 18, late high school, I was reading a beautiful book called The Song of the Bird by Anthony de Mello. Anthony de Mello was a Jesuit priest in the Catholic tradition, and he was quite the mystic. And the book was full of parables, stories, and different meditations and whatnot that were mostly sourced from India, China, and Japan. So from Hinduism, Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, just different mostly non-Christian stuff. And towards the end of the book, there was this beautiful meditation, And I really wanted to try it. And so I did the meditation to a T. I was very detail oriented back then. I was very analytical in my youth. And within moments, I was having an out of body experience, which scared the pants off me. I literally felt myself leave my body and go somewhere else. I didn't know where I was. I believe that I had a transcendent experience. And then when I came back and was aware again, it felt weird and different. I now know that now those things feel amazing to me. But it scared me. And I put the book down and I didn't finish it, and I swore I would never do that again. Fast forward a couple years, and it was God, what was it? 1988, Memorial Day. I was visiting my girlfriend in New York City, and I was very, very addicted to food, and a little bit, not entirely, but leaning towards addiction to alcohol. And she was addicted to alcohol, and we had a very codependent relationship. And she saw my behavior with food, and her dad was an Overeaters Anonymous, and so she decided that weekend that she would do a confrontation or an intervention with me. And she said that unless I talked to her dad, she didn't phrase it this way, it was actually fairly loving, but she encouraged me to talk to her dad, and said that if I didn't get help, she couldn't keep going out with me. And of course, she was also messed up, but that basically ended the relationship. And I flew home to Rochester, a complete mess, trying to hold the tears in. And the minute I got off the plane, I saw my friend at the time who was there to pick me up and my sister, and I just lost it. And I cried for like 3 days straight. And the friend who had picked me up at the airport had been working on her own codependence and had gone through an outpatient group that was actually run by a cousin of mine, apparently, or a relation to the family. I don't remember the exact specifics. And on Wednesday, June 1st, 1988, I went to meet with him, and I don't even remember what happened. All I remember is that after an hour of meeting with him, he said I could join their day program. And I walked out of there, and a little voice in my head said, "Everything's going to be okay, Greg." And I was still really, really sad, but I'd stopped crying. And it's fascinating because I later realized that that voice that said everything is going to be okay meant that everything is going to be okay. Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, you're knocking on my skull again. Everything is going to be okay from here on out. And what was that? 36 years ago? And part of that program was a commitment to meditate every day and to attend 12-step meetings. And so I started to meditate every day. And that's how I started. And at first, I was just doing it because they said it was good to do. It was uncomfortable. It was difficult. I would spend 18 minutes thinking and obsessing and worrying and stressing. And then I would get 2 minutes of serenity at the end. And it was this beautiful calm, this beautiful moment of peace that I'd never experienced in my life. And that's the reason I kept meditating, is because I wanted more of that. I wanted to experience more than 2 minutes of peace in my life twice a day. And so I kept meditating, and through meditating and my growth in that, I eventually ended up meeting a Buddhist teacher who was enlightened, or I like to believe he was enlightened. And I ended up having some amazing additional experiences, which I won't tell as part of the story. And I've mostly meditated pretty much every day, once a day. For a few years, I did twice a day. There was some periods of there's sometimes I skip, and there were some periods where I didn't meditate at all for a few weeks, but I ended up feeling horrible. And so I've made a point to meditate no matter what, wherever I am, because of those 2 minutes of peace, which now are, 15 to 20 to 30 minutes of joy, peace and joy. Oh, wow. I haven't told that story in a long, long time. Thank you for asking. Show us, Kimmy. No, I am not going to dance for you on stream. I'm sorry. I do want to do yoga, and I understand. I have learned, and not learned, but I've heard about qigong. I did take a keto, so I did do a martial art for about a year in Chicago. But yeah, yoga interests me, but I've never been able to align myself with it. Liz, I love that. Inga, since you have joined people in the tribe here, you are on time. All right, let's see. Joanne, I do feel you should write a book. Is it something you have thought of? I've actually written a book. The old me wrote a book, and I've also made two movies, believe it or not. Um, you feel I should write a book. I'm very resistant to writing for some reason. But yeah, I probably have a book in me, or maybe two. I actually, when my mama died in 2012, I started writing a book called Good Morning Mama, which the 3 months I spent in hospice with her, every day I'd come upstairs from the guest room and I'd walk in her room and I'd say, Good morning, Mama. And that book is supposed to be about love and how about how my mom, even in her fearful and paranoid moments, was an exceptional example of love. Kimmy, who are the circle of seven? Do you feel Marty? Kimmy, you have such good questions. I love it. I love you dearly. Um, Joanne's doing a Qigong retreat. Qigong. Yes. All right. So, Kimmy, I don't exactly know who the circle is. So I'm interchangeably calling them the Council of Seven and the Circle of Seven. Circle's been the more recent term because they circle around me when I see them during meditation or when I feel them. My intuition, I don't know if this is right, but my intuition is saying that they are Arcturians, that they are from the Arcturian system. And I've tried to look up the Council of Seven, and I've only found a few small bits of video, and most of it has been weird to me, and so the energy just felt wacky. Um, and the reason I don't know why, but I'm not include they are guides, but I'm not including them in my guides. So they could have been in my guidance system for a long, long time and now just suddenly come forward in the last few months. But they are definitely um they're 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 facilitating a lot of growth in my energy field. They do certain things during meditations that I feel like are fine tuning my gifts or opening me up. Like the sense that I'm getting, Kimmy, is that they're I don't know why I'm crying about this, but that they have a message. They've got important messages for us, and they're trying to, and I asked them to do this, so that's it's not a forceful thing. I told them, all right, whatever's going on, I'm open to it. I'm willing, like, but I sense that there is something important that I'm supposed to channel them in some greater capacity. But in order to do so, that they have to fine tune and tweak my energy field so that I can receive them more and more. And I feel like that I'm doing that now, and it is something that I don't understand. I really and the funny thing is my mind is not trying to understand it, which is really quite fascinating. That my mind is not trying to understand it, it's just accepting it and allowing it to occur. The most recent thing that they are doing is that they circle around my heart in meditation, and then they will shoot rainbow beams of light that are laser fine beams of light. And when I say rainbow beams, it's literally like rainbow colors, like swirling around the beam of light, and they shoot them into my heart, and I can feel my energy field expanding. I can feel the vibration of it changing and shifting, and the tuning of it. So that's a really good question, Kimmy. And I don't have confirmation yet whether they are from Arcturus or whether they're Arcturian. And it makes me wonder whether I'm from Arcturus, a starseed from Arcturus. I don't know. But yeah, fascinating question. Thank you. Inga says, wow, it was my time to come and ask that. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Rhonda says the book sounds like a beautiful thing. Yeah, it was. I don't know why. I don't remember why I stopped it. Joanne says, yes, I knew about those. Just thought your experiences now would make a good book. And that mum one sounds wonderful. Oh, thank you, dear. I appreciate that. Jenny, Joanne, is the NQA or something else? Oh, the retreat. Kimmy said, oh, you're getting a pain in the butt, Kimmy. Stop that. Your high temperature. I hope you start to feel better soon, my friend. Pleiadians? No, Arcturians. My intuition has been Arcturians, and I don't know why. They haven't given any indication, and I haven't gotten enough visuals to check or look on anything. And of course, not a lot is known about energy beings from other worlds or other civilizations. So Joanne, the retreat, Jenny, is with a qualified teacher here in New Zealand. Very cool. Inga asks the question, do you remember your first conscious meeting with the spirits and guides? How did you feel? Um, well, I did already tell the story of how I was introduced to guides. My very first guide was Dr. James Peebles, who is this hilarious guy from Scotland. He was in Scotland. He was quite the Renaissance man at the turn of the, let's see, he lived in the late 1900s, early, or no, lived late 1800s, early 1900s. So at the turn of the century, 1900. Uh, and he also was a channel, but he was a holistic medicine doctor, a regular medical doctor, and I think he was a pastor, a Presbyterian or Episcopalian or something. Um, Arc Arcturians. Let me type it. Arcturian. But in terms of my guides, Inga, um, I alluded to this a little bit, but I didn't explain it. So, um, in the fall, I was feeling I could use some assistance and spiritual support around shifting my perception of abundance. And I chose Susan Sage, and I went and had a private with her, and she brought me on an energy, what I would call an energy journey, although it was slash bit hypnotism, bit guided visualization, a bit just regular channeling and whatnot. She brought me on this journey where I ended up meeting all my guides in my heart, in a space in my heart, and I met a soul fragment. And it was a soul fragment who was from a very, very young age of mine. And his whole thing was about nobody understood him, about being misunderstood and just wanting to be understood. And so he hid away in the dark spaces of my heart. And we met him and we reintegrated him into this beautiful bonfire that was shaped like the third chakra lotus, and the same colors and everything associated with the lotus of the third chakra. And that's where I actually visually, I guess, experienced my guides. I've heard from them through other channels before, but to have that actual personal experience, that was the first time. And ever since then, I've always felt them. I've met them. I've walked in. I've gone into my heart. That was actually sort of the basis for the spirit walk journeys that I used to do, was that whole experience that I had there. So thank you, Ginga. That is a very fun question. National Qigong Association. Oh, I never heard of that, Jenny. That's super cool. Yes, Kimmy, keep up the liquids and your meds. Damn autocorrect. uh, Joanne is looking forward to her retreat. I've only recently got into doing it and it really resonates with me. Oh, let us know how it goes, Joanne. That would be awesome. Peter Brook is here. Hello, Peter. Good to see you. Good morning to you. Hi, Butter. Oh, you guys are so funny. Yes, Kimmy is not feeling well, Peter. Awesome. My friends, we only have 5 minutes left. I can't believe time has flown by. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate having you all here. Thank you for all your beautiful questions. Does anyone else have a question? Could maybe do one more. And then I need to go do lots of self-care. Oh no, thunderstorm. All right, Rhonda, be safe. Okay, Jenny, please do email me, okay? I would really appreciate that. And I'm really touched by your offer. That's okay, Beta. Peta. Peta, I just called you B as a I got all Peta. Peta Brook. Oh. Well, let's see if the new live for Sunday is up yet. I know I've mentioned it a few times. I'm really looking forward to it. That's our week. That's a new weekly live. No, it's not approved yet. Maybe their offices are busy. Huh. Oh well. Anyways, keep a watch on it, my friends. Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel, 3 p.m. Mountain here in the US. And hopefully they can approve it. I don't know. It's usually approved quicker, so I'm wondering what's going on. But I put what did I call it? What did I call it? I can't think straight. I called it Weekly Channeled Message for Us All. So we were talking about this about a week or two ago, and this will be a whole new attempt at something, a whole new experiment, but trying to do a channel message for the collective for to start our week. Yes, remember to follow if you haven't followed yet. If you haven't followed yet, I warmly welcome and invite you to follow. And if you'd like to join our little group, our beautiful little group of 61 people in the Circle of Love, you can do so on the home tab of my teacher's profile. Also, if you feel like supporting me through a financial donation, I welcome it. I appreciate it. I celebrate the flow of abundance from you to me and then back out into the rest of the world. Otherwise, I also invite you to check out my link on the About tab of my profile. I greatly appreciate the support. I need it right now, quite honestly. It's helpful. It's it's helpful for buying food. I'm just gonna be real. It's just how it goes. Um, but yeah, if you'd like to connect outside of Insight Timer, I do have all my links there in the link at the bottom of the About tab of my profile. For those who have come in and lingered and not asked a question, thanks for being here. I'm happy to have you here, happy to indirectly or not directly meet you. My name is Greg Phillips. I'm an energy healer, a channel, and a spiritual guide for seekers and sensitives on the path to the heart. Please do come back for one of our readings. Tomorrow night, we're doing the readings extravaganza at 3 p.m. Mountain. And that is super, super fun. Everybody gets a chance at a reading. And if you do get picked by the universe for a reading, you get to choose your reading type. You can do an energy reading, a channeled message, or an oracle card pull. Channeled messages have been heavily requested recently. Have you guys noticed that? I love that. And then next week on Sunday, we're doing the weekly reading or the weekly channeled message for all of us. And then on Wednesday, I've got channeled message readings as well. I haven't booked anything beyond that yet because they haven't replied. So did I miss any last questions? No, I don't think I did. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate the help. I really, really do. And you too, Gary. Every little bit makes a difference to me and means a lot. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you did come in late and you're wanting to see the earlier questions, I did record this. I think I recorded it. And let me make sure. I think I recorded it. Yes, I am recording. And so that will be up on my channel, that channel that holds videos, probably in a few hours. And I am recording. Yeah, so there were lots of great questions, and there were a lot of fun questions. And Kimmy had some amazing deep ones. Everybody had great questions, quite honestly. Yeah, and so please do check it out. Um, Anything else, guys? What do you love, Linda? I can't remember what you. I don't. I'm not feeling like I'm connecting to the chat as quickly as I could. I don't know, Kimmy, if the Arcturians are gray people or not. I don't think they're the grays. I think they're. I don't know. I'll have to look them up again. You're inspiring me to look them up. Thanks, Peter. I wasn't. I've been crying half the day out of frustration about the job search and being in limbo. Being in limbo between where I was and where I want to be. Channeled messages. Oh, you've been loving those? I'm so glad. I'm really loving them too, Linda. And in fact, I'm probably going to do a lot more of them because I feel like I need to exercise that spiritual muscle in order for the circle slash council to fine tune me some more. We've been getting some really good channeled messages on these lives lately, haven't we? It's been really super cool. I do feel much more chilled, Peter. Um, but you could ask anybody who came in at the beginning. I was a blubbering mess. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Linda. I'm glad I feel better too. All right, my friends, 1 hour, 31 minutes. I'd love to linger longer, but I am feeling the call to relax and get ready for the rest of my evening. So I'm going to send you big, big hugs. Someday maybe we'll all get to hug. Who knows? But in the meanwhile, big virtual hug to you. Lots of love. Thank you so much for being some of my favorite people. Really, really mean that. You guys mean a lot to me. This community that we're building means a lot to me. That you enjoy what I offer and bring means a lot to me. And your presence and love and support also mean a lot to me. So thank you. Oh, thanks, Yvonne. Are you new, Yvonne? I don't recognize your face. Otaki, New Zealand. Oh, you're down there with our other future friends. Thanks, Inga, for the hug. Go to bed. Enjoy. 12:30. Oh, okay. Sleep well. All right, my friends. I'm going to go. Not new, just not vocal. And not vocal is 100% okay. There's a lot of times I show up in streams and I just lurk and listen because that's all that I want to do in that moment. Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed listening, Yvonne. I really appreciate it. All right, my friends. I'm going to go. This is the sign in American Sign Language for I love you. Much love, joy, and blessings to all of you. We will see you later. Yes, sometimes we do just need to watch. All right. Peace and love. Bye-bye.